from my own point of view and from the companies, the landscape is very similar across all territories, whether it's Europe, the Middle East, or even the US. The big fear for everyone is still ransomware. It's the thing that makes people sit up at night. All the other vectors that we would talk about from firmware threats still exist. But ransomware seems to scare everybody because if you get hit, your company is locked down. And the real cost is not the amount you're going to pay in a ransom, if indeed you ever pay, but it's the downtime and the impact it has on your customers. And I think sometimes we forget the fact that even if you pay the ransomware, you have lost out because you've had downtime. So in terms of vectors, ransomware is always top of mind, but every other one still exists. So everyone needs to be vigilant. You can't just assume that because ransomware is at the top of mind that the other things go away. In fact, probably you need more vigilance because you're worried about one vector. It's amazing, no matter how many times you tell companies or people and how to protect themselves, regardless of the vendor you use, people don't listen. There is still a mentality, I think, that you can be protected in a herd. I won't be hit. Whether that is ransomware, phishing, or whatever. And protection in the herd is not protection. So I'd always encourage everybody, always do proper threat assessments. Look for a layered security approach. No one vendor can protect you from everything. Those two things always. So educate yourself, make your decisions, but don't believe you won't be the one to get hit. Malwarebytes, we're built on the fact that we will stop malware that other vendors are not. And we know that from fact. When we look at our product or when someone downloads our product with an existing vendor, we're able to tell what malware is getting through that other vendor's product. So at that point, we are doing better than other vendors from that sense. Traditionally, we're built on the fact that we can remediate better than anybody else. We can find the malware and get rid of it better than anyone. And out here, I think when we look at the Middle East, there is a wide range of, I would say, knowledge among CISOs, or even in small companies about what do they know about this. Some of the bigger companies are very well equipped. They know what they're doing. Others are not, but when they do get infected, they do turn to Malwarebytes to help them. And we have many instances of this across the Middle East region particularly. So there are lots of vendors talking about artificial intelligence and machine learning. But if you look at many vendors, they already have it, and they've had it for a period of time. There's been one or two vendors who have made huge noise about this, but even our own solutions, when you look at our recent solution of endpoint protection, we have 7 layers of protection. There's machine learning within those 7 layers for us already. So it's part of something, it's not the only solution. So we've had that, other vendors have had that. We still come back, the innovation has to be that layered approach. You can't protect everybody from every outcome or every malware. Stuff gets through, so it's what do you do when that happens? How do you react? And making sure you have built yourself a layered security approach within your environment. There are two parts to the question when you're talking about channel and managed service being part of a channel. So from a channel perspective, Malwarebytes is very much dedicated to 2-tier channel. We go through distribution, through a reseller to our end user. And we've got a very innovative channel program where we encourage resellers to join, and we reward those resellers for getting us involved in deals early. So unlike other vendors where they get rewarded after they've made the sale, we reward by giving us business or leads up front, and we work with those resellers to close those. That's something we're very involved in, we're doing very well. The MSP model that you referred to, it's a great way to go from one to many, to protect many. And I think at the moment you can see the small business element being very MSP ready. Small companies don't have the capacity to have an IT professional. They look to their reseller or managed service provider to do this. This is very lucrative for us, and you need to be in this model. Eventually, those small businesses will rely on their managed service provider. As you go up to the bigger companies, that gets more sophisticated and harder. There are certain areas that will allow itself for the managed service, but the bigger companies, I think, will be slower to adopt. I'm saying at the moment, though, that the market is ripe for managed service in the lower end of the market. So your question for fear of much larger enterprise, are you going to trust to outsource your security to another vendor? And there are parts of the security you can outsource, and there are parts you wouldn't trust. I think it's an evolution, but I don't think today that managed service can scale to those biggest companies for each part of the security environment.